Hi, it's Christian Harris, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about why you should use the pendulum test for measuring slip resistance of your floors. Now, there are lots of different methods of measuring slip resistance that are available in the marketplace, and indeed, if you look across the world, many countries have different standards that they use. However, here in the UK, the pendulum is the benchmark, it is the gold standard. And why is that? Well, simply put, it's because it's what the HSE use in the event of any enforcement or prosecution. So if you're going to end up in court against the HSE, they're going to be presenting slip testing data against you using the pendulum, and therefore would it not make sense that you have the same data available in your defence? To give you an example of this, there was a well-publicised case in 2015 where an elderly gentleman slipped over in a co-op store in Truro in Cornwall. He banged the back of his head and unfortunately died as a result a few hours later. So as a result of that accident, the HSE were clearly called in to investigate, and somebody from their HSL in Buxton conducted pendulum testing on the floor concerned. I was actually called in by the co-op to do testing on their behalf as well, and both of those reports were presented to the court as part of the case. Now, I said earlier there are other testing methods available. We conduct pendulum testing ourselves. However, we do advise clients in some instances to use some of the other kinds of tests that are available to do their own monitoring, but with a couple of caveats. So firstly, I think it's important to understand that the gold standard, the best absolute measure of testing is, of course, the pendulum. That's what tells you where you really are in the most conclusive scientific manner. The other tests can be used as indicative testing and will give you a good idea of where you stand, but as I said earlier, you wouldn't really want to rely upon them were you to end up in court. Secondly, I think the main use of these other tests would be for monitoring changes over time. So forget what the number says on the slip alert, whether it's 150 or 170 or 200, doesn't really matter. The key thing for you, if you're using that test yourself to monitor changes, is the number changing or not? If you're testing the same floor, the same location, week after week after week, and you're getting a score of 165, 165, 165, let's not worry too much about what exactly that 165 number means. But if we are happy that we're not having accidents and we're feeling as if this level of slip resistance is good and we're getting a consistent score of 165, that means nothing's changing, we carry on and everything is good. However, if you test and you get the same number week after week after week, and then one week all of a sudden it changes and it's a lot worse, well, you know something's happened, and therefore you can take some sort of intervention to try to improve the situation again. Conversely, of course, if you're testing week after week and then all of a sudden it gets better, then you know something else has happened. Perhaps you can explore what that is and see if you can replicate that in other areas. So these other tests do have a benefit, they do have uses, we do recommend them. However, if you really want to know where you are, then the pendulum test is the one to use. We would suggest that businesses should be conducting pendulum testing on at least an annual basis, initially at least, to really understand where they are and get a benchmark for their performance. You might be able to push it out a bit longer than that once you've got a real handle on where you are. But I think certainly to start with, step one is getting the testing done in the first place, of course, but then putting in some sort of monitoring and maintenance regime would make perfect sense. I hope that's been helpful. If you'd like to discuss pendulum testing or indeed any other aspect of slip safety or floor care, please feel free to reach out to us. You can, as you may well know from other videos, book in a 15-minute call with me directly on our website, and the link to that is www.slipsafety.co.uk/call. So that would put a time and date directly into your diary and mine, and I'll ring you at the appointed time and we can chat through any questions you have or issues you might have and see how we might be able to help. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again in another video. Bye.